Welcome to my channel and hello. Here are some famous tales of betrayal and retaliation. Kelly entered the diner, sat down, and joined John in a booth. "Kelly, thanks for coming in," John said. "Well, John, you mentioned how vital it was. I assumed I would check into it based on your statement. What's happening then?" Kelly queried. John said, "I have a question for you." "Barry?" "John, you could have called me and asked me a question. Instead, I used my lunch break to drive across town." Frustrated, Kelly smacked her palm down on the table. "Kelly, this isn't just any old question," John stated. "This is the kind of question that needs to be asked directly to the person." Kelly responded, "All right then, ask your question." "Now do you believe me?" John inquired. "You believe what, exactly?" Kelly queried. "On Eric," John uttered. "What about Eric? What the devil are you talking about, John?" Kelly queried. "I noticed how he was flirting with you, and how he was staring at you around 3 months before we split up. I told him as much as I told you that I didn't like it. You even became upset with me for not believing in you, telling me I was just dreaming. Things have become worse and worse during the past 3 months of our relationship. He made advances on you in public, and you allowed him to. I told you that I didn't like it, and you became even more irate with me, saying that you didn't think he was doing anything wrong. And then there was the day I returned home to discover you had left. You had walked out without even leaving a note to explain while I was at work. Until I learned that you were living with him almost a week later, I was devastated and perplexed. It was then that I understood what had transpired." "Do you now believe me?" John inquired. "What transpired between you and me had nothing to do with Eric," Kelly declared. "Oh, really? Then explain to me, Kelly, how I obtained this," John inquired. From his pocket, he withdrew a little box, which he set on the table between them. Kelly was taken aback upon seeing it. She started to get cold. "What's that?" Kelly queried. "I believe you are well aware of what it is. I told you I didn't like it the first time I saw you and Eric flirting at that party, few days before I purchased it. Together, we were so ridiculously happy, at least, I was, and I assumed you felt the same way. I put it off till I had some time to cool off after you assured me it didn't mean anything when I saw him making out with you. I never had time to settle down. Up until the day you departed, it just became worse and worse." "Kelly, you claimed that Eric was unrelated to our disagreement. Then tell me, Kelly, how in just 3 months I went from wanting to offer you that to being hurt and detesting you." John said, "Explain it to me, Kelly." John brought the package to Kelly's attention after opening it. Kelly was aware of what was inside the box, but she broke when she saw the big diamond on her engagement ring sparkle. She started crying. John spent several minutes staring at her while he sat there. "Kelly, do you believe me now?" John inquired. Kelly found it difficult to respond. With tears in her eyes, she just turned to face John before getting up from the table, sprinting to her car, and taking off. John was still sitting at the table. After shutting the ring box, he returned it to his pocket. A big man moved toward the booth that Kelly had just left, confusing John. "Hello. What are you hoping to accomplish here?" John inquired. "I heard you conversing with the girl. You weren't too kind, didn't you think?" Edward inquired. "No, I wasn't. Our relationship has lasted for 3 years. Hell, together we bought a house, which I now have to pay for. Before I observed her flirting with him at that party, she never showed any signs of being unhappy. He was the aggressor, yet she allowed it to happen. Even at the very end, she disputed what I had told her was happening. She now resides with this amazing son of a... Now that he had ruined our relationship, I invited her to come see me today to see if she would trust me. I wanted to let her know how much I cherished our relationship and how much I loved her. The message from the ring was quite plain to her." John remarked. "Now I hurt her as much as she hurt me." Edward gloated. "Perhaps if you'd spent more time caring for Kelly and less time feeling envious, my son wouldn't have been able to steal her away from you." "Child, is Eric your son?" John yelled. Edward said, "Yes." Rising from the table, John grabbed the man, pulled him upright, and gave him a strong punch to the face, sending him sprawling to the ground. John leaned down and met Edward's eyes, making him wince and cover his face with his hand. John remarked, "That was for raising a mean freak who takes other people's women." After leaving the diner, John tossed the money he had paid for his meal on the table. After a few hours, Eric recognized something was off when he returned home to the opposite side of town. Kelly had disappeared. He picked up her mobile phone. "Hey," stated Kelly. "Kelly, dear, what's the matter?" "How are you doing?" Eric queried. "I am unable to," Kelly sobbed. "I can't be with you anymore, Eric." "How come?" "Kelly, why?" Eric remarked. "What you're saying doesn't make sense." He was accurate. He was accurate." Kelly sobbed once more. "He was right all along." "Who was correct?" "Kelly, what are you talking about?" Eric queried. "John, he was accurate. You took me away from him." Kelly remarked. "I allowed it to happen, but you stole me." Eric remarked. "Kelly, you left him willingly. You forced me to accept. It was wrong of me to let you. I should have kept you at such a distance. Before you started making out with me, John and I were content for 3 years. He informed me of your actions. He was not credible to me. He was accurate." "Damn you, Eric," snarled Kelly. "Don't be like that, Kelly. John has a problem if he allowed it to happen," Eric stated. "Not at all. It's my issue. He gave me a heads up. He made an attempt to stop me." Kelly remarked. "I wouldn't listen to him." "Kelly, sweetheart, how about us?" Eric queried. "We've left," Kelly remarked. "We were never supposed to be." "Are you returning to him then?" "That's the issue, Kelly. Are you returning to John?" Eric queried. Kelly remarked. "No, John would never take me back after what I did." "So why are you walking away from me?" Eric queried. "I must express my gratitude to John." Kelly remarked. "I've realized my error, and I have to make the greatest correction I can." "An error?" "Kelly, I was not incorrect," Eric cried out. "John intended to ask me to marry him. He revealed to me an incredible ring. He chose to wait till he cooled down when you flirted with me the first time, since he was so furious. 6 months later, I broke up with him. In just 3 months, I let you to ruin 3 years of bliss. I was naive." Kelly remarked. "I detest you, Eric, and I never want to see or speak with you again." Eric said. "Kelly, wait." Kelly ended the call. After giving his phone some serious attention, Eric clenched his hands in frustration. Eric declared, "That bastard is going to pay for this." Eric hopped in his car and headed to John's residence, the one where he had started seducing Kelly. Running up to the door, he pummeled it fiercely with his hands. John knew exactly who was waiting at the door. Though he was unaware of Kelly's actions following her departure from the diner, he presumed Eric was there to exact revenge on his father. When John opened the door, he was prepared. After Eric launched his first blow, John sidestepped and then launched a blow of his own that knocked Eric back, sending him sprawling into the yard. Alas, a son who resembles his father. He had a reason, at least, for being elderly. "Did you come here by yourself, or did he send you here?" John inquired. "You son of a, what are you talking about?" Eric stood up and asked. "You mean your dad never called to tell you about the time I punched him in the face at the diner and left him lying crumpled like a little kid on the floor?" John inquired. "How come? You struck my dad, right?" Eric queried. "It was necessary. After he heard me speaking with Kelly, he defended you." John remarked. "He deserved it for raising a freak like you." "You son of a, how did you address Kelly?" Eric queried. "Why the devil are you bothered?" John inquired. "She was long gone when I got home from work, and all of her belongings had been removed from my apartment. This is why I care. She informed me over the phone that she didn't want to talk to me anymore." "You tell me then," Eric insisted. "You tell me what the hell you said to her. Go speak with your dad." He listened in on the entire exchange. "And get off my land before I get a black eye and break a few ribs," John yelled. Eric recognized it was a mistake to come here and challenge John to a fight as soon as he glanced at him. After backing up, quickly turned around, sped to his car, and took off. John turned to return inside the home. His eyes were filled with tears. "I suppose that at last she accepted me. Opie, how do you feel about it? Thank you for sharing in our fiery retribution tales. Please consider subscribing to our channel in order to ensure that your future chef remains devoted. If retribution is what you're after, watch this one. This is not for the timid, so hold on. Please do not proceed if you are under the age of 18.